Hey guys, welcome to the Esther Podcast. It's Chelsea here. I just wanted to touch base about what we're talking about today, which is identity. It's very important foundation, so we wanted to start here. But we also wanted to invite you to join us for a 7-week class
starting September 14th over Zoom. It's a 7-week course. We're going to go through every little bit of fear and identity and purpose.
It will be talked more at the end of this podcast, so if you want more information, you can hear about it then, but I did want to start by letting you know it is in there. But if you listen through this, just be prayerful if this is something you are interested in doing, and once you get to that, you'll see more information. Thank you.
Well, I'm excited to talk about this because it's like my heart, my joy.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's interesting whenever there's like a topic that we just feel like God is saying. We have talked about how we do it, how we actually experience it. But what I realized in the last few weeks is that it's my reminder of my calling. And so when we were thinking through, hey, like identity and purpose and vision and all, what does that mean? I just knew, like, before we go anywhere, we have to know who we are. And it's been my reminder in the last few weeks that it doesn't matter what my circumstances look like. I know who I am in the Lord. And if my focus is only on Him, then nothing else matters.
Yeah. That's all good.
So yeah, I just thought, like, that's okay. That's where we're going. We're going in this, like, as like the foundation. And I think some people would go in it thinking like, oh, we have to have purpose first, and we have to have our calling. We all have a calling, and those are great things. But until we know who we are, we can't have the confidence to walk in our true calling. And when the calling gets tested, we will have fear that trickles back in because we don't know who we are. So we get lost.
Yeah.
So it was just interesting that the Lord reminded me of that in the last few weeks of like, no, remember who you are. You're the daughter of a king. And it's just been like exasperated so many times, especially now with cross country.
Want some background on this?
Yeah.
No, sure. You need to.
Oh, okay, yes.
Sorry,
I'm just talking. Actually, I don't
know. We're talking about identity today.
Yeah,
welcome
identity, purpose. Identity, purpose. But
you coach cross country.
I'm coaching cross country. I had done it a few years ago, and I felt the Lord say, "Be done." And I could feel myself be done. I was in the last year I was coaching for a varsity high school team. The team was amazing. The school's amazing, but my life was not amazing. And I was running a business. I was running a gym. I was dealing with our father's estate. I was dealing with high schoolers, and there was some of those kids that they're just so beautiful, but they were pushing my buttons that year, and I just could feel this tension that I was facing. And then the Lord called me out of that. We sold all the businesses. We ended our dad's estate, and He gave me this stillness. And He was like, it's time to heal. And then when that healing came into play, the one and only thing He kept talking to me about was my identity. And so once we walked through the garbage that was in what I call your well, that was just layers of lies and thoughts and patterns and junk that had accumulated in that well. I didn't even know who I was at the end of that season. And so now I took a year off. My daughter, Riley, asked me to come back and coach because she wants to run and train for lacrosse. And I'm back, and I'm like, oh, I see why I'm back. Like, few days in, and I've already had, no, do you know who you are? Like, do you know who you are in Christ? None of this matters if you don't know who you are. So that's been my reminder of like, oh yeah, going back to the identity work is kind of what we're going to go through today, and what I felt like has been my calling on his daughters specifically. I do work with guys too, and knowing who they are, but more specifically, these women, these girls. That's always been in my life. Just I'm surrounded by all these girls, and really being able to help them know who they are, so their focus isn't anywhere else but him. And when that happens, there's confidence that comes in. And when that confidence comes in, you can do anything that you have been wired to do. And so that's where the purpose then lies. So oftentimes I see that people don't know who they are. They don't know what their calling is. They don't know what they're supposed to do next in life. They've gone through tensions and fears and roadblocks and burnouts, and looks different for everybody, but they come back to this place of, what am I supposed to do? I know I'm made for more. I know my purpose is bigger, but they don't know who they are yet. And when they know who they are, all of that then comes out. So that's what we're going to go through. How about you? What do you have over there? Sitting there smiling.
Just listening. I just kind of wanted to, one of the first things I felt like I wanted to explain that came to my mind was kind of breaking down, I'm going to move this a little bit, sorry, Lawson, what identity actually means. Because I think it's a topic that people talk often about, and like you already said, people don't know what their identity is. Often they can't name it. If you say, what's your identity in? Or who are you? And you could say, well, I'm Chelsea. Who are you? Well, I do this. So is that your identity? Is your identity what you do, or is it who you are? And so identity, I looked up, it was qualities, characteristics, and sense of self that makes someone or something who or what they are. And it breaks down even further. It's like personality, beliefs, values, experiences, and roles. So that's like just a simple understanding of what identity itself is. But what we're saying today is we are made in an image. Like, we're made of image of our Creator. And so our identity is founded in him. But it's not even just in him, it's through Christ. Because it's only through Christ that we are able to really access and have authority in that identity. And we've talked a lot about authority, but not about identity. So that's why I know we wanted to talk about that. But for what the definition of what we're talking about then is that you are truly who you are because of what Jesus has done for you, not because of what you've done, what others say about you, or what labels the world puts on you. And I think that's the first thing I thought of when it comes to identity, is that it's easy to just, if someone asks you, say what someone has already told you about yourself. Oh, I played basketball, or I'm one of 4 girls. You can name things about your family and things that are attached, or even worse, somebody can say a word of death that was spoken over you. Oh, you're stupid. Well, I'm not smart. But I'm good at this, or I'm, good at that. And it's about a deeper part of who you are, your beliefs, your character. And that is identity. And unfortunately, I feel that is the first thing that's attacked. And that is why there's almost a blinding to people who they are, because they don't know, besides all the voices that have told them what they are, not who they are and whose they are. So I agree everything, what you're saying. I think that's why we decided we wanted to definitely start with this as like a foundational thing to talk about, because everything that we've talked about starts with this. If you do not know who you are in our opinion in Christ and whose you are, all this other stuff that we talk about it can be very confusing. And it could also turn into legalism because you're still trying to work and make it on you, but it's not on you. And something the Lord is reminding me the last week, specifically, the Holy Spirit has said, you are my little girl. And I said, okay, sounds good. And then he like showed me scripture this week in 1 John, and often it talks about, addresses little children. Hey, little children. And it's like an endearing way. Hey, little children, this. Like, don't do that. And like, this is who you are. And then it goes again, like, my children. And the Lord addresses us as his children. And it's so funny how often we want to make sure our identity sounds super good and nice and presentable and successful and this and that and found in things, instead of just being, my identity is I'm God's kid. Like, we're his children. And we don't have to be or do, or like, he just loves us for us because he made us and he loves us. And we're made in his image. So the more we find him, the more we understand ourselves. And there's a lot of freedom in that. And the more you actually look into that, all that anxiety and pressure of the world does kind of fall away more and more. And you don't really care what someone says about you. And I'm saying that as I'm speaking into a microphone that will be on a camera and sent out to the world for anybody who has an opinion. But it doesn't really matter, because it's just the deeper you go with your identity, the more all you care about is who you are from.
Yeah.
You know,
who you serve. I think you said it right just now, is like, you have to get to know the Father to understand what this means. Because if you don't know a Father that is good, if you compare our Heavenly Father with your earthly father, if you have a great earthly father, there's so much more that our Heavenly Father has given us, that until we seek him and we get to know him and we spend time in his presence, who cares if you're a daughter of a king? Great, I'm a daughter of a king. This is my reality. This is my natural reality. None of this is working. I still am burned out. I still have businesses. Yes, I'm growing and everything is great on my business side and my family is great and everything's great, but I'm not okay. That point is a tension. And in the tension, if you don't know who your earthly father or your Heavenly Father is, or you compare to your earthly father, then you don't know what that means to be a daughter of a king, to be a daughter of a father that has done nothing more than send his son, his one and only son, to die because he loves you so much and clothed you and chose you. He knit you together in your mother's womb. He's called you by name. He's done all these things to come to him and say, I am yours and you are mine. And in that presence, until you know who that Father is, it means nothing, right? And so part of it is understanding, yes, that sounds great, having childlike faith and like understanding who you are. But a lot of times in reality, because of all the gunk that's been in this well, our hearts, that's been over time, this idea of who we are, or the lies we've believed, or what we are not good at, or what we are great at, and pride comes in. There's so many aspects of that, of when I work with clients, because I've done this now as like a business, and this is what I love doing. This is my ministry. And what I realized too is most of the time, just like you're saying, of that childlike faith, we forget who we were as a child. We forget the faith we actually had in God. And I believe every child has this faith of God that they don't even realize, even if maybe they're not even in a home that's surrounded by the Lord. Hearing Jada's story of like, I knew there was a God, but I never experienced it because I didn't know. But that piece of it, I think, is all in a child. And it just is about bringing it out, right? And over time you have the debris, and then over time you just move away and you're doing it yourself and all this stuff. But like, I love taking somebody to that place where they felt the most free and the most open to hearing the voice of the Lord. And sometimes, and many times, they remember, oh yeah, I do remember God there. I do remember him there. And at that point, I believe, is where it begins. It's like healing those wounds, going after the debris, releasing that into freedom, and then knowing who you are. When you know who you are in that moment, nothing can stop you. And so I don't know, that part of it just excites me, because it's my heart's desire for everyone, first and foremost, to know really who they are, because there's confidence that comes out of you in that moment that can only be met in that moment. And it's special, and it's pure, and it's holy. And it's like this, I see there's a girl on the team, and she is 8th grader. I've seen her the first day. I said, okay, you're my one. I could see it. She's nervous, and does not want to be there. You can absolutely tell she's forced to be there. And when she doesn't want to look at you, she like covers her hair, and you see this beautiful girl, but covered in insecurity, and didn't want to run yesterday. I did a 3K time trial. Just let's get to understand where you guys are.
How long is 3K?
It's 1.8 miles.
Okay.
It's not
Just
too
want to make
far.
sure that
It's not too
not a
far.
5K,
but
it's
you're up against your peers, and you have these athletes that are high schoolers, and you have some middle schoolers, and she was in tears prior to even starting the race. And it was such a beautiful analogy of so many people that we know and love, and people I work with, that before they even started the race, they stopped at the starting line because they were so scared, because they don't know who they are. They don't know this mantle they carry. They don't know the purposes God has for them. And this girl was one of those girls. Tears. And she was hiding behind the crowd, and I'm trying to pump them up. Hey guys, it's okay. We're just going to go run. At the end of the day, guess what? You're going to be fine. You're going to take a shower. You're going to eat dinner. You're going to be like, yeah, I just did this. Great. And she was standing in the back, didn't want to look up. She was playing with her hair. She has these bangs, and she was just playing with her hair. And I caught her eye, and I was like, you're okay. I got you. And so she was there, and I said, all you have to do is watch the person ahead of you. That's it. Watch the person ahead of you. She was the last person in line, and she runs around, and there's this like wooded area, and they all are coming out of the wooded area, and she's not coming out of that wooded area. And I was like, oh no, this ain't good. This ain't good. It was maybe a quarter of a mile. Like, it was so little of a distance. And I was like, oh no, okay. So I ran after her, and I see her in the woods on a rock crying. And she was like, I'm so sorry I disappointed you. I'm so sorry, but I can't do this. I'm going to cry. I am scared to run. I'm scared to run this race. I go, this isn't a race. This isn't a race. And we talked about identity. We talked about all these things. If you only knew how God saw you. That's all I said. If you only knew what God says about you and you believe it, right? It's like knowing, but then believing. And she's like, I don't think any of those things are true because I don't see that. So a lot of times what I've noticed in identity is it's there. It's met with this moment that God wants to capture your heart. And yet, do you see this place that is so sacred for her to be able to say, I don't see that, right? And to calling it out, speaking it over. What is God saying about me? And having this silence and this listening ear to hear. writing it down and actually then believing it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a beautiful depiction of how Jesus runs after us to find us on that rock.
Ugh.
You know, that's the first thing I thought of when you said that. I was like, man, Jesus God meets us in the rock. And he's like, I see you. It's not a race. I got you. And that's what I'm saying of the concept that he just is so tender to meet us and say, that's not true. But I think the idea isn't that also that people just don't know their identity. They have a false identity that they live by. And the false identity, and we all have them. There's not a human on this earth. You might be like, oh yeah, I'm good. And you might be good now. I'm not saying that people can't understand identity and get there. But the enemy uses lies to just shift the one thing that is our foundation in Christ is being identifying in him. And so if he can just shift something, and I actually was talking at this group discussion about, someone was like, how do you know if it's a false identity? And I said, so we were talking about how the enemy is, Satan is like an accuser. So if there's any thoughts in your mind that are, you're not good enough, you, that's like, I always say, if it's not something God would just gently say to you, it's probably not from the Lord. And that identity might be rooted in something someone's told you, but those things that people have told you are also still coming from darkness. It's not them. It's the enemy uses people all the time to plant death into children and adults. It doesn't matter, but it starts at child, like when you grow up, and it can be out of a good parenting too. Like you just are trying to do that, and the enemy uses that to bring an assumption into something like, I'm not good enough, I'm not whatever. And even saying like, I'm not good enough. Like when in the word has God ever said, I'm not good enough? Besides, I need him and I need you. Like I'm not on my accord. Yes, somebody can, have that discussion. But the reality is he's like, you are good because I've made you good. Because of the righteousness, we have this connection. So if someone's wondering even the start of this, like, oh, my identity is good, it's fine. And then you start really sitting in it. What are the messages that are floating up? Because it's really the messages in our mind that lead us to the actions in our life. And that's the roots of the tree. The behaviors are just the branches. So you only see behaviors of people. And I think that's why I've always been really grateful that the Lord has given me discernment to step back from people when they do things and be like, what's going on here? And often look and see that there's something rooted in it, and it has nothing to do with not always me, but like the interaction. Sometimes it's a deeper issue. It's not the behavior. It's not they're mad because of this. It's why they feel that way. And most of it is rooted in identity, the false identity. Like, oh, I'm not good enough. So I reacted when you gave me correction of like, oh, it wasn't like that because I wasn't good. I didn't do it right. And it's like that initial thing is usually rooted in a lie. And that's why it is so important to know this, because your actions spring out of your identity. And those actions matter about where you lead on what path of life. And if you're leading a life off of a lie, there's no freedom in that. There's only bondage. And that is not what we're called to. So that's why we are pulling it back to this, because we know that the Lord has called us to live freedom and not a life of bondage. And most of these things, you have to almost take the thought captive and say, well, why am I thinking this? When did I come in agreement with this? I'm breaking this agreement right now. I am good enough. Why? Only because of you, not because I'm good enough. I'm not good on my own. I am good because of Jesus. And I think that it's hard because, like, the first thing I was thinking about, besides the picture of Jesus running to the rock to meet her, was how do you feel like Satan might have come against your identity? Or what is like a time in your life that you believed a certain lie that you functioned out of?
It's interesting. So I didn't necessarily grow up being insecure.
Being
honest,
you were not
overconfident.
Melissa might be the most confident person I ever met. She will try to beat you at checkers.
I'll do
there's
whatever
nothing.
it takes.
I'm good.
I believe I can do it. And that's the thing.
And if she can't do it, she won't do it. She will play a thing like chess because she's like, I can't do it, so I'm not going to do it. I need to win.
Or it's more like, I just believe that I will learn then how to do it with excellence. That's my standard. And it is like this perfectionism side of me that I've learned over the last year that I have, because I didn't even know that I had that. I just know that what's in my head, I believe I can achieve. And so forever, my whole life, I actually believe all of that. Like, okay, you're going to do it? Yeah, we're going to go do it. We're going to make this, and it's going to be this big. And I have friends that are like, okay, Melissa, let's bring this down.
Put your feet on this earth again.
Yes, and I'm like, no. But my idealistic mindset is, if I have dreamt it at this stage, I believe we can achieve it at this stage. And I will do everything it takes to learn how to excel at it so that I get to this stage. Only if I want something bad enough, or only if I see it. Like if I actually visually
I'll delegate it off.
Yeah. I'm a very good delegator. Very good at that. So I really have this natural self of being confident.
Yeah.
However, the lie that I walked in was that as I have this confidence to believe that I can do anything, I have to carry it myself. And so the lie was really, you have to do it yourself, or you have to strive in order to achieve, or else you won't get it. And who else is actually going to help you? And so you're alone. And so my lie was, if I stop, no one's going to help me, including, love him, but my husband. Like, no one's going to help me. It's got to be me. And so, why are you laughing there, Chelsea?
No, I don't know if the camera got it. I looked right over at Lawson and I was like, Iggy, we're all the same.
I think I might go back to a childhood thing on this.
100% a childhood wound.
Yeah, it is
It's a childhood lie that the enemy has used to cover my mindset and say, nope, I believe we can do it. Let's go. Even though it might not have been the wisest choice.
Yeah.
It might not have been a prayerful decision. It was me feeling like, I got a vision, we got to go. And Nick's like, hold on. And I'm like, no, this is what I saw. We got to do this. And I still wrestle with it. If I'm being honest, it's a trigger that, just like you said, it could feel like in a different way, it's a trigger. And in the trigger, there's momentum. One way of like backing down, staying comfortable, or another way, nope, I like being uncomfortable and pushing through. But that's not always been the right.
What's the lie?
The lie has been, the lie is, you don't have to do it yourself. You can stay still and be
That's
at
the
rest.
Truth. The lie
That's
is
the truth.
The enemy's like, it's all on you.
It's on you.
It's all on you.
The truth is, I can be still. And the Lord kept saying, be still and know who I am. Yeah. That was the verse he gave me for years.
How hard was that for you?
The hardest thing I've ever had to do.
I've never seen you be still.
And I had to
Even on your trip, I was like, dude, stop. I'm like,
okay, well, I had like this one quiet moment,
and it's like
everybody else is
moment.
working, and I'm sitting here like, I've read a book, I've listened to every podcast.
No, I'm going to say this on here. She sent me this thing and was like, I did this. I go, you are literally on a trip. You guys never get alone time like this. Why are you working? And you're like, well, I had this 3-hour train. I'm like,
3-hour train.
Do something
Everyone else
different.
is working.
Stare out the window.
Nick's sleeping. And I'm like,
and I knew it.
What else am I going to do?
I was like, I'm in love. No, stop. Stop doing it. I got this. But it's hard. It's in our nature to go, do. Who's good? And the mistrust, it's a mistrust of God.
Yeah.
Because what God says he is I got it. Mm-hmm. It's not on you. I fight your battles. You're not alone. Mm-hmm. I've never left your side. I am your strength. I am your courage. Like, where's this coming from? Because it comes out of probably a spirit of fear. Yeah.
It's fear.
It's fear. That if you stop, everything falls apart. Mm-hmm. But it's not. It's right. But his word literally said, and I say that because this is literally, it sounds like my life. So that's something I tell myself is whenever
that your story?
Oh, it's very similar. Mm-hmm. I think I mean, identity is so dynamic that it could be that's part of it. That's part of my identity wasn't like yours was a little bit out front and more in the light, where mine was, okay, I'm going to make sure everyone's good all the time. I don't care if I'm good. Everyone's good. And I just lived and like, don't be a burden. Don't be a burden. Make sure everyone's good. And if I'm not good, I can handle it. So it's the same kind of concept that it's all on me, but even I don't get to have the rest or the care or the protection or that. And that's not true. And it kind of goes back to the altar thing of self-protection and reliance. And that's a still identity thing. It's saying, God, are you who you are? Are you who you say you are in your word? And it is an unlearning. And he's so gentle to sit on that rock with us to say, hey, let me break this down. Let me just say, let me speak truth in it. And you might need this a couple days from now again. You might need this reminded again and again. And it's a mindset. It's literally putting a new helmet on. It's new saying, okay, my mind has been this and I'm rewiring, but rewiring is not a day. It doesn't always take one moment. And God has been so patient with all of us to have these moments where, I think I've literally said, that's why I think he was laughing, because I'm like, I feel like it's always on. It's everything. I have to do everything. And it's not like they're like, for my marriage, Austin's very active in parenting and our marriage and our home life. He is not a dud in any way. It is not one-sided, but I allow this narrative that the enemy just gives a seed that it's all on me. And then I run with it. And then I'm like, it is all on me. And it brings the striving, it brings that. So it's breaking this habit of going back to the fear and the lie that was rooted in. And that's what I'm saying. It's the tree. It comes back to the roots, which is rooted in fear. And in the end of the day, it's not on Lawson or me. If I really believe God is going to come through, provide my needs, protect me, be my father, be my God, I have even said I could sit on this chair and do nothing, and he still will. And that is insane to the little girl that grew up in a place that you don't sit down. You go. That's lazy to sit. And somebody else, that might not be the case that God is telling them. He might say, get up, move, cut action. Hiding. There's different, like, not everyone's word spoken into their identity is the same thing. So we have to sit to breathe, because that's when he talks to us and is gentle and gives us the things we really need. And then some people, he's like, you got to get up and you need to start walking, because I have something ahead of you that you're so scared to just walk into. Because I'm the same way. I'm kind of like, I'll figure it out. I don't know what I'm doing. There's jobs I've done. I'm like, I'll figure it out. I will. Oh, yeah. I will do also figure it out before I ask a question. I will ask nobody. I don't want to be a burden. Yeah. And it's like, this is what God has done. Specifically in the last year, you were talking about the perfectionism. Mine was reliance and learning to rely on humans too. Like, he's like, I put people in your life you can trust, and you need to start doing it. So I have worked on it. A couple of my friends always laugh. They're like, you're doing it.
I love that.
But it's hard because, honestly, some of the things kind of smacked me right in my face of realizing where I found false identity was having kids. Marriage, no, but like marriage, yes, like in terms of like the marriage itself. But it was the kid thing where it's like you didn't have a choice. You had to get help for things. You just have to. And it's out of your hands. And so it was at first so filled with anxiety. And then I realized that anxiety is caused by my own narrative, that asking for help doesn't mean it's like a weakness. It's not weak. And obviously that's narratives we've been told that it is okay, and it allows somebody to bless you. So I always would preach that, like, let me bless you by like helping you, but then I wouldn't let people do it to me. And I think it's important because identity, like I said, it's different things, because it is literally in the Bible that we're all different parts of the body. So what somebody could be a mouthpiece might be, somebody could be the eyes or the feet or the hands. And that all gets molded and shaped into different things. So that's why I do believe it's such a unique, special, fun thing to discover. But it does require first to sit with the Lord and be like, what am I believing myself that's not true? Mm-hmm. And what am I, and why? Mm-hmm. And where does your truth say that that's not true? Because it's easy if you really sit there and give yourself 5 minutes of just no phone, no distraction, to say, what do I believe about myself? Mm-hmm. And if you wrote down a list, even if it's jokingly pro and con, the con's usually what you live off of. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not good at that. I'm not smart. I'm not this. I'm not talented at this. I can't, I don't know if I could ever do this because I don't even know how to do that, kind of thing, or whatever that may be. And so it's easy to do, but I think it's really important to start there mm-hmm. before you try to just like dive in, because you're not letting go and like breaking off agreements. And that's mm-hmm. really important if you're going to walk fully, freely in your identity. Mm-hmm. I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think also one thing that the Lord taught me is that, yes, there's ways of seeing what you do actionably in the natural, like with my family, with business, with my husband, with my friends. But he was like, take it deeper. Let me show you what you do in the relationship with me. You are still striving to receive my love. Mm. And really, ultimately, that's all we're doing, is we're looking for love. And that's found in our identity, is how we receive love, how we give love. And the Lord was like, you feel like you have to do all these things, and yet in the end, your lie to yourself is that you're not enough. And so you just got to keep going. You got to keep working. You got to make love others well. You got to give more. You got to do all these things. And he's like, I've never called you to that. I've only ever called you to be still. Mm. That's really hard. That's so much harder to me than doing all the things. I could be busy all day long. I said yes to everything. And he's like, there's a holiness to the word no. Use it.
That's good. Because that's good.
It's so hard.
That's good. It's so hard. I'm the same way.
Hard.
Because I feel like I'm letting someone down.
Right.
And then that equates to like their love for me.
Exactly.
Or my value. And like with them. And I know, that is something that the Lord has been good about reminding me, that I cannot control how someone responds mm-hmm. to me. Mm-hmm. If I'm doing it in the right heart, in the right like motive, if the Lord tells me it's a no, and I say it's a no, and they get mad, that's really between them and the Lord. And mm-hmm. I have to remind myself that I can't hold them, against them for mm-hmm. it. Because the reality is, all of us are on our own journeys. All of us go through a lot of stuff that we don't know all the time. Mm-hmm. And we don't know what people are really working through, or unknowingly not working through, that they're living in. Mm. And I do, the more and more I like talk to people, I realize that we hide it a lot. Mm-hmm. We hide our false identities, but if you actually had like the spiritual glasses on, you can see how it plays out in their life. And anyone could be like, well, that just happened to them. And I'm like, we have free will for a reason. And the Lord is so gracious to us to let us go out on that run and let us figure it out. But he also meets us when we call, like we need him. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think it's a beautiful picture, because it's not that girl failed, but it does show what has been spoken over her mm-hmm. and what she's accepted and who she is. And that's not true. And it takes just breaking that off to almost like, I'm going to bring a really weird reference into this. In the original movie of Willy Wonka, not the original, the one that we all grew up with,
yeah.
where they go up on the elevator at the end and they explode through the window. And then he gets to just like see the world. And you can't watch it now because it's not the same effect. But when you were a child, you're like, this is sick. Yeah. You can't even see kind of the string that's clearly moving the thing. But like, if this could be, that is literally when you get to break off something that was so holding you down, and you get to burst through, it's like, this is sick. What else? What can I do? And you want to step into things that knowing that it's not on you.
Yeah.
Because if you're truly rooted in the identity of God, you're like, it's not on me.
Yeah.
You want me to go do this? Sure. Let's sit at a table and talk, because this isn't what I expected, but this is what I'm told to do. And if it's not on me and my pride's sitting at the door, then it's what the Lord is just doing, because he loves his children so much. We are his little children, and anyone that needs to hear this today that is the end all be all. Is you are loved. You are not those lies. And you have so much more goodness on your name that you're not even tapping into. And that is so true.
That's so true.
And that's what the enemy doesn't want you to see. He wants to keep you in this bubble and not break through that ceiling.
Yeah.
Because the minute he broke through, it's like loose cannon for him. He's like, oh crap, how do I get back in?
Yeah.
And you can't.
Yeah.
Because once you know your identity, I don't understand how anyone could falter out of that. And I'm not saying have moments where you go back and, get the same door knocked on and you open it.
You're right.
But
He will test it.
He'll test it.
The enemy is going to test it.
Where he knows your weakness. Yeah.
But if you capture that exactly how you said it, if you capture those thoughts and take them captive, as the Bible says, and replace them with the truth that I am enough. I am enough. Just who I am, by being still. Like that's that concept to me. Constantly, I have to remind myself of that. I'm enough. I have enough. I just have to invite him in. And then the world is ready to do whatever I'm supposed to be doing. Whether it's to chase a girl down and tell her she is enough and she is worthy, or if it's to deal with business owners who are trapped in their burnout and can't see how to scale and grow, or how to delegate, whatever that looks like. I know that once I know who I am in that place that's so precious to him, then the rest he'll do. Just move.
It's fun.
And that part is
It's
so
fun. It's fun once you release that, because you're kind of like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And you get to sit back, and not saying sit down, you get to sit back. You're not trying to rush. It's funny. It's kind of like a person who, and I was not this person because I love reading directions. So I wasn't. But when you're like in first grade, second grade, and they give you a test and you just go through it, and then the first line under like write your name and turn the paper over. That's it. And most people like skip that line because they just thought it was like a whatever. They wrote their name like normal, like you write your name on the paper and then you start answering the questions. Okay. And then you're like, I'm done. But that wasn't the instruction. The instruction was just write your name and flip the paper over. And it's so.
I didn't ever have a test like that.
Really? Did you? Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Love you, man. But like,
Such a good
it
guy.
was a lesson.
Mr. Headley.
But it's a lesson.
Yeah.
It's a lesson
It is,
of realizing we like to just rush because we think we know. We've seen this before. I know how to handle this. And the reality is, Lord just saying, just write your name, turn the paper over. You don't need to do this. You don't always need to go through the same route and habits of this false identity. I'm trying to do something new. And we're rushing ahead to just be like, I got it, I already know. And he's like, no. And that's the beauty of resting sometimes is it feels really good when you do catch it. It felt really good when you got to like be like, oh yes, I didn't like, and you just sat there and looked around like idiots.
Yeah.
It's like, so Lord forgive me for calling them idiots, but it was like, literally it felt so good to be like, I caught it.
Yeah.
And it's like, it was a lesson of don't rush through instruction and why God gives us instruction of doing certain things, because he wants us to grasp something before we go move ahead to purpose. Because if you're trying to get this calling, you don't know who you are, that will not ride out well for you, period. It doesn't matter if whatever you want to say, it doesn't matter. If you have this calling and you don't know who you are in your identity, you will run through a lot more obstacles, speed bumps, all the things in that, than if you just were releasing it to the Lord and saying, okay, God, you gave me this purpose. What do you want in this? I'm of you. What do you want? Because I'll do it.
Yeah.
And it's that surrenderedness of your identity, of knowing that and saying that it's like, okay, I'm just seeking you and figuring out who I am through you. And who do you say I am?
Yeah.
Who do you call me? What are those things? Because I'm learning as a parent how important it is to speak over my children and speak life over them, but also speak like their gifting, their things I see that are good. And I just think, how much does the Lord do that? How much is he doing that and we're just not hearing him because we're so in the the mindset of an old narrative that we're missing him. Like when you said, oh, she doesn't believe that. Or she's like, I don't believe that. He's literally speaking to us all the time. And we are like, well, I believe this. I believe this. And he's like, no, I made you this way and I made you to do this. And you're so good at that. I actually just listened to this thing. It was like a pre-thing on Instagram for Taylor's podcast. I have no idea what it was about, but it just popped up when I opened my phone because it was Instagram was open, and I opened my phone and it popped up, and I was like, "What is this about?" Like I was intrigued by whatever, and she said something about how God said to her she needs to say, "I'm an author," and she's like, "But I haven't even written a book yet." And you're not an author until you write a book. And he's like, no, I've said you were an author. And if you died today, you would be known as an author in heaven because that was like what I called you into. But someone who didn't write a book, but like, that's what I'm giving you. And I have no idea what that whole podcast is about. I have no idea. But that hit me because it was just this reality that we count ourselves off of something by the rules of this world and not what God says I am and says my purpose is. And it might feel foreign. Like even when Lachelle was like, don't say you're not a healer. You're speaking out. Now you're not. Like you're speaking against what he said you can have if you ask, and who he might be. Maybe he's telling you are, and you're not hearing it because you're just discounting yourself immediately, saying, I can't do that. You know, I mean, it's so interesting talking to my 4-year-old, how his faith is hilarious. Like it's so sweet and genuine. And he was praying this prayer. Yes, if I could pray over him this morning at 5 a.m. I said, yes. And we were praying. And then he goes, can I pray? And I said, yes. Yes. And his prayer was amazing. It was so childlike. It was hilarious. He started talking about gummy bears again. And he was talking about this house God was building and all this stuff. And I'm like, what? I'm like, wrap it up. But it was like, he was so okay with simply talking to the Lord. And that was something that I'm reading this book, and it was I want to say it was Matthew or something. It was in between two parables that Jesus was talking to people, and it was the Message version, which I don't have the Message version, but it was in the book. So it was very like almost regular speaking. And it was saying like, you guys always make things so like, you know, big prayers and doing all this stuff. And I just ask you to simply sit with me, just listen. And I just thought about that this morning when Beckham's praying, because he's just like, hey God, so this, and he's talking to him and having his faith. But he also will sit there and be like, I can't do that. And he's 4. I've never said he can't do anything, but it's like in our instinct to like, it's a lie, something someone, you know, around him might have said. I heard kid on the park saying, well, you're only 4, you can't do that. And I go,
oh, here comes Chelsea.
I go, you can't do that. Let's
You little
do
boy.
it. Yeah, he was like 6-year-old.
Want to fight?
Let's go, 6-year-old. I was like, no, you can do it, Beckham. Because immediately he got scared. I can't do it. I go, I've already done it. I've already done the thing. It's a little bit, but he's a very agile kid. So I'm like, I know you can do this. And I've seen you do it with me. But I'm going to talk you through it. So I talked him through this thing, and I said, you did it. You can. It doesn't, don't discount yourself because you're 4. And then the 6-year-old's like, okay. Like, so it's like him didn't care. They ran off, did whatever. But I was just like, I have to speak against the lies the enemy is going to try to plant into my 4-year-old that he can't do it. And that sweet prayer of him just doing it, I I need to build that up and let him just get to know his Father, to know himself. Eventually he will. Yeah. And he will have that. But I am, as a mom, you can't do that. You can. And I was like hating on the kid. I was just like, no, Beckham, you can do it.
Yeah.
And he just released it. I'm like, let me walk you through. And he did it all on his own. But it's just this idea that we are in nature saying we can't do things, we can't be things. And I'm sure the Lord's like, when did I tell you can't do that? Who told you you couldn't do that? It's kind of like goes back where I feel like I have a lot more grace for Adam and Eve. They get a lot of hate, but we all do what they did. We question God. Did he really say that? Because the enemy puts a narrative. Did he really say that about like that? Like, because you could get this or have this knowledge. And if you did that and then put it on your self-reliance. And so I have learned to actually be grateful that it wasn't me my name was on the first sin thing action going on, because that stinks for them. But I have a lot more understanding for my own life that any one of us would have been them.
Yeah.
And any one of us could have fallen to it because we fall all the time to that same narrative. That did God really say that? And it might not sound like that, but it might sound just so similar. Where is God really who he is?
Yeah. Yeah. I have been studying Jehoshaphat.
Ooh,
Yeah. And he was somebody I really did not know much about. I kind of knew of his name, but I wouldn't have told you where. Second Chronicles 17 starts.
Yeah.
And
Good about fasting. That's what I was talking about him.
The Lord has taken me for the last week in this, like, I want you to focus in on what he did. And also be aware of when you know who you are, the favor you hold, the mantle you carry, the authority you have, how it draws attention from everywhere around you, good and bad. His heart was to follow after all David has left for him. And part of that heart was following the Lord and hearing. He was eager to understand and seek him out first and foremost. And when he did, favor was given to him. And the more he did, more favor was given to him. And he started having this overflow of prosperity. And so the first 3 years of his life, of this king reign, he was just seeking and seeking and seeking. He was being prepared. And so you said something about the preparation, the journey. Sometimes that's the hardest part, is having to sit through this understanding of who you really are. But when you're seeking after the Lord, it is this eagerness that it doesn't matter how long it takes. Like, I just want what you want for me. And then what he did 3 years into that reign was start spreading that out amongst the people. So he had all these incredible teachers and leaders start spreading out all about the Lord to all his kingdom, to all of Judah. And then outside of the land started to hear. So what happened was they were not eager to fight him. They were actually aligning themselves with him. And they started giving him gifts, and he started buying more land, and he grew more prosperous. And he just kept seeking the Lord. No matter what he was doing, he was still seeking. But that led to an alignment where it was causing some wickedness. And the Lord said, there's a battle coming. The battle was coming, and all he had to do was stand firm. He said, do not be in fear. And he was in fear. He said, I'm in fear, help me. So the Lord said, have a fast. He had a fast amongst his kingdom, amongst the people, amongst the prophetic voices that were speaking into him. And so he has this fast, and his heart posture was, anything you want, Lord, I will do. That posture, again, of just surrender, your will. So he said, go up to the mountain, stand at the top of the mountain. You will see, you will not have to do anything. You will not have to battle. All you need to do is stand firm. So they climb up to the top of the mountain, and they see their enemies all dead because the Lord took them all out. And they took all their jewels and their money and all the things, and they took their land. And so the Lord told him nothing but to stand firm. You don't have to do anything. But because you have drawn your heart to this posture of surrender, of surrendering your will, your plans to only the plans that I have for you. Knowing whose you are, I will give you more. All you need to do is stand firm. I have taken that and thought through so much of like this journey of preparation he's like been in my life, preparing me for whatever is next. I don't know what all is next, but he has told me, don't look ahead. I'm not one to look backwards really, but I look ahead. And he was just like, no, today.
Oh my gosh. I literally said this word to somebody today.
That's
Go
so
on,
great.
go on.
No,
I literally,
it.
that is
Look
literally what
today.
the Lord told me. I said to somebody, I felt like the Lord told me to call them. They're not even in this time zone. So I was like, are you awake? And we had a
Wake
really good
up.
conversation. And because I shared what I felt, I had a vision for her, and then I had to pray over her. And I ended up sharing what God's been saying to me. And one of the things he's been saying is stop looking so far ahead because it's creating fear. But I only told you to be present for today.
Ooh.
And everything is good. So why are you, I will be ahead of that, like I am, but you're causing this cycle of mistrusting me by even being like, well, how are we going to do that? Or how are we doing this? And this. And it's easy. It's very, by our society nature to kind of plan things and look ahead and do this. And he's like, I just want you to worry about today. And my encouragement to that person was, you're already getting upset about something that God already covered for September 1st, but you're frustrated that it didn't kind of come in yet, but it's coming, but it's already covered. So what is it? I don't understand. And I'm not a judgment. It's more of like, I do that same thing. Why am I doing that? Why am I getting? It's a waste of energy, but it's a distraction. And that's all this is just pushing you a little bit. Like if they can just kind of nudge you, kick you off that path a little bit for a little bit, it just keeps helping the whole narrative of not walking in your identity, in the purpose, and so whatnot. Good. I wanted to read a word the Lord gave me. Bear with me because once I start writing it, that's why I had Lawson go fetch me my other journal, because I realized you were talking about something, and like the Lord reminded me that I wrote something down in my personal journal. This is like usually just for the stuff the Lord usually shares with this, but I was already writing in this, and he just started going off, and I was like, okay. So one word he gave me was like completeness. And that's something that he's like, my identity in me is completeness. Like you're complete. You're not there. You don't have to do better. You don't have to change anything. You're complete. And that's just feels like foreign, because we're always trying to get better and do better and be that and do the right thing, even in our relationship with the Lord. And he's like, I just am telling you, you're complete. It's done. Like that. But he said, identity is simple. The enemy has fed my children awful lies about their makeup, being, and core. All those things I have created in the likeness of me. It's simple. Want to know your identity, get to know mine and who I am. Those thoughts will help you identify lies and flush them out, leaving you with the person that gives you peace, not fear, anger, doubt, and more. None of those things are from me. And I was like, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's not how I would always talk. That's why I always say, Lord, give me stuff that doesn't sound like me. It doesn't sound like me, but that's the word he gave me. And it was like, it's true. It's half the time we are overcomplicating everything. And he is so simple. Another thing he told me, he said, I was like, reveal something about you to me. And he said, everyone's complicating me, but I am simple. I am everything. It's as simple as that. Now that's complicated if you really think about it, if you go to think about it. But he was just saying, he's like, I'm everything. And if he is everything, and if we are seeking him, we will find our everything in him. Because anything that, like part of the problem is, you know, when you look at your parents, you think, what did I get from them? That's like, I don't know if everyone thinks that, but I think we obviously have done that, and now everyone knows why. But you're kind of like, there are good things, don't get me wrong, there are good characteristics we get from our parents. Then there's some things that might be a color of your hair and the eyes, or your boldness, your confidence, whatever it is, there's positive things. But just imagine if you were literally created in the image of God and you're able to walk up to that mirror, which is God, and he can just show you, hey, that's from me. That's from me. That's you get that from me too. And you start realizing, you walk around this world and you realize that's what pains me a lot, is how many people don't know they get that from their father. They don't know their father. And half the battle is the insecurity of the thing that is the good thing. Most of the time, the enemy comes at us for the one thing that he knows is our weapon. Like, we're created in that identity for the purpose. So he usually attacks that. So if you have ever even gotten this nudge of thought of like, oh, I really would love to do this, or start this ministry, or start this business, or do whatever, write a book, whatever it is, and then you start questioning it, like you're that, and it's usually, that's when you start getting, like, those are the things you get attacked in, is the identity of that. So one of my things is my voice. And I saw this thing today or yesterday about Nate Johnson, crazy. He lost his voice.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
He got it back.
Okay.
And they just posted about that, but it wasn't that was cool. But he wrote this thing about how the enemy desperately wants to take our voice away. And I thought it really spoke to me, because it's definitely one of my things the enemy attacks the most, is my voice. And not literally physically, but mentally with it, and makes me question my voice. And I feel like now it's funny. Somebody came alongside me the other day and did not know me. You know this person, but I don't want to say their name on here. And he's an older gentleman, and the Lord told me to walk up to him and say, you have a word for me. And I did. And he's like, let's go outside. I have something I want to share with you. And he just started sharing. He had no idea how his 40 minutes of just pouring into me literally spoke every single lie off of me when it came to my confidence in my voice and just my faith. And he goes, you're so sure of Jesus and your faith. You can hear it in how you speak. And I said, I think that's the only thing I've ever been sure of in my whole life is Jesus. But you've spoken so much that I needed to hear. It's more of a reminder that the enemy is always going to go after the part of your identity that is most founded in God and also for your calling. And I'm sure you deal with this all the time.
Yep, absolutely.
You know, people don't know this, but Melissa, one of Melissa's businesses, Melissa's entrepreneur, and she is very good at it. If you need any help in that, you can look her up, because she is you are gifted in that, and there's a calling in it, because it's not just about helping people with this, like, it's like, I don't want to say a surfacey thing to find the deeper thing, to find purpose in what they're doing, but you're really doing a lot of the inner workings with people to launch them to be in this world that will always come against us.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of people have a vision first. The Lord gives them vision. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I love that. Yes, let's do it. And it's met with either fear and resistance, like, I'm not capable of that. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Or it's met with, like, I don't know. All right, I'm going. You go on your own striving, and then you're met with like burnout, because you didn't know who you were first. And that's what's the most important thing, is like, we're doing it a new way. That's what the Lord showed me. You're doing it a new way. You have to start with who you are in order then to back up the lies of the enemy that will come at you as a business owner. Even if it's not business, even if it's like, my role as a mom. Well, guess what? Even me, who the Lord has shifted that and said, I want you to be a wife and a mom right now. I want you to learn what that role is. That is your priority. That's your lane right now. It might not be all business. It might be me serving one or two here and there, or the kids at cross country. But that still is a motherly role that I'm playing in the kids at cross country, right? And so in that lane, I don't want you, the lie is, oh, but I could go real quickly over here and build another business and monetize. Somebody asked me yesterday, how do you monetize this? I'm like, there's like 500 ways I could just start doing, but the Lord hasn't called me to any of those yet. Right? He's like, nope, until you know who you are and until you have that confidence to be able to back up those arrows that are going to come your way, you can't move into the next phase. Mm-hmm. And the next phase I have for you is so much more. There's resource, there's the abundance, there's all the things, but you can't go until you're ready, until you're prepared. And so I just take people on this journey of first and foremost understanding who they are, the fears that have been there, how to pull those fears out and really get to the root of them. And then coming out of that agreement and replacing it with the truth. Now you're backed. Now you have the armor of the Lord ready to go. Okay, that vision you had, or maybe the excitement you feel for this, what is that? Let's dig in there. And then I start building out what I call streams, 7 streams, based on what that vision is or what that purpose is for your life. And it could be a nonprofit. It could be, like I said, a mom. Here's how we can do it. 7 really great ways of systems in your home to create an organization that operates well and everyone's, somewhat joyful. You've got to do that, but you've got to do the work of digging the well first. And then the streams will come and you will be prosperous when that happens, because it's out of the overflow in your heart is what you're after, right? And if you're after seeking the Lord and pleasing him, God's going to open doors that no man could ever shut. And that you will see just come through based around what your purpose is. So we dig into purpose and we go into the calling that God has for you. And most people don't know what that even can be because they've been so exhausted from the season they are in, but they also have this little nudge from the Lord being like, there's more for you. And if you want that overflow he has for you and you're eager to step into a space that's uncomfortable for a minute, then that might be exactly where we are. Mm-hmm. And that's the space that I want to dig into. But if you aren't willing, he's going to give that mantle to somebody else.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I've seen it.
Yes.
And I don't want that. I don't want to one day the Lord tell me in heaven, you know what? You did amazing with what I gave you, but I had all of this. And all this is if you have planned it for me, Lord, you're going to let that plan succeed. And if because of my fear or because of my doubt or because I'm scared and living in my false identity, I don't want that. I want to break free of that. And I want to live in the fullness that you have for me. Mm-hmm. And that fullness, he wants to walk alongside you until you are ready to receive it.
Yeah.
And he'll do it. He will do it. So we are going to do that. We are going to offer a class for those who are ready to take that step, that bold step, and say, you know what? I'm sick of living in fear. I'm sick of living in a false identity. I want all God has for me. And I'm ready to start digging. And I'm ready to start surrendering. And that place of just this is really all he is asked of us. Is when you meet me here, I will show up. But you have to be willing to meet me here. Sit on that rock. Stop. You can cry at that rock. It's okay. He's going to run right to you. And walk or run that journey next. So I'm excited to do that for what we have offered.
When are we offering it?
We are offering it September 14th. We're going to start for 7 weeks. It's going to be only 7 weeks, and we are going to meet on Zoom and at night, 7 p.m. Eastern time. If you cannot make it and still want to be part of it, we have a recorded session that we will send to you, and we can do some one-on-one sessions if needed or a group gathering, but
there's a workbook.
And there's a workbook that's included. We'll go through a whole process. We're going to gather together in a group setting, and then we're going to kind of press into that. This place is going to be a sacred place. There's no judgment. There's no shame. We are just coming as is, and we're going to gather around a table, and we are going to get deep, and you will know the calling God has for you by the end of the 7 weeks. You are going to have a vision. And if you want more help to execute that, we can do that. But the focus really is, who are you and what has God called you to? And when you start doing that, you get ready.
And it's and you could be like, how is that? That could be like 1 week. There's a lot of breakdown before to understand breaking off false identity to walk into your true identity. Yeah. And I think that's what takes time and sitting in, and we are doing that to allow people to actually be still, hear the Lord, and also hear your own heart, hear what your heart is saying about you that might not even be true. And like rewiring that to be truth in our hearts so we can live out that purpose that God's created.
I think one thing I was just thinking of is that, the enemy loves to keep us busy. And so it does not allow us to stop to think and feel. And we run from the feeling, typically, at least I do, or we just like numb from it, or we want to get away from it. And this is an opportunity to stop doing that and start hearing his voice and what his words are to you. And they are hard to hear initially. Like, I will go through it with somebody and they'll write all this stuff down, and they will say, this is not who I am. These are lies. No, these are the actual truths. And that part of it is learning how to believe that, because of the lies that are already in there, that we will take out, and we are going to replace them with what those words really are. And so hearing his voice for you, hearing his truth for you. And just like you said, he is a gentle God. He is everything. He wants to give you the abundant life. This is the abundant life. Yeah. It's not of this world. It's not of this world. His yoke is easy and his burden is light.
John 10:10. And it's, the thief comes only in order to steal, kill, and destroy. I came that you may have life and have it in abundance. And abundance is to be full till it overflows. It's not just like, oh, God's going to send me a check. It's like having this fullness in life that is almost pouring out, that you don't even know what to do with that overpour. And then that overpour usually hits on somebody and they want it. That's usually kind of the thing. But I love that verse, because that's the reality of the work we're doing with identity. The thief is coming here to destroy your identity. And that's not, we're just switching that to the truth, which is, I've come so you can have a full, abundant life, and through him. So that's really what we'll be working with. So
yeah, I'm so excited.
I'm so excited.
It's going to be so good. So if you want to sign up, if you feel like, yes, this is what I'm called to do, the Lord has been nudging you, go forward, move towards that nudge. You can sign up. We'll leave a link below.
And also pray about it.
Yes.
If you haven't felt anything yet about that, or you listen to this and you want to just take time, go ask God, and he will direct your steps. Because even if you can't make it during this round, we will be releasing a sort of class after that you can always tap into whenever it is a good time for you. So always attune to what the Lord has you for the season. He has you doing it.
Amen.
But I do believe anybody should, if they can. So
yeah,
and thank you for joining us today. Yeah. This was a great conversation, I thought. So
good. Thank you.
Have a good day.